Hare Krishna. You all came last night, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
How many of you came?
We can three.
Three.
Yeah, but there are three other guests.
Oh.
There are two.
And
And four are coming afternoon.
okay. Who all are coming?
Prabir Prabhu and his motivation.
Okay. And Vedusara,
No, he's not.
he is not coming. Thank you. You all are comfortably situated.
Yes, yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamti
Tato Jayamti
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nashtakayeshu Abhadreshu
Nittam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Vaishnavi
Bhakti Bhakti Vaishnavi.
Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 5, text 17. This chapter is entitled as Narada's Instruction on Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 17. Tvakta Swadharmam Charanam Bhujam Harer Bhajan Apakya Atha Pate Tato Yadi Yatra Kva Va Bhadram Abhut Amushya Kim Ko Bartho Apto Abhajatam Sadharmataha Tvakta Sadharmam Charanam Bhujam Hare Bhajan Apukatho Patit Tatu Yadi Yatra Ka Bhadram Jatra Ka Bhadram Abhut Amushyakim Yatra Kva Bhadram Abhut Amushyakim Kubartho Apto Bhajatam Sadharmataha Kubartho Apto Bhajatam Sadharmataha Bhakta Sadharmam Charanam Bhujam Hare Bhajan Napakothuba Patit Tatu Yadi Yatra Kya Va Bhadram Abhut Amushyakim Kubartho Apto Bhajatam Sadharmataha Takta Sadharmam Charanam Bhujam Hare Bhajan Napakothu Patit Tatu Yati Yatra Ka Va Bhadram Abhut Amushyakim Kubartho Apto Bhajatam Sadharmataha
त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं शरणं बुजं हरे भजन् भक्तो यत्र पावनं भजतां त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं शरणं बुजं हरे भजन् भक्तो यत्र अपवित्रं भूतमस्य किं
Good.
त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं शरणं बुजं हरे भजन् भक्तो रघुपते ततो यति यत्र भद्रं
Mataji's.
त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं शरणं बुजं हरे भजन् भक्तो रघुपते ततो यत्र भद्रं भूतमुष्यति
Bhakta, having forsaken swadharmam, one's own occupational engagement,
one's own occupational engagement.
charan ambujam,
Charanambujam,
the lotus feet,
the lotus feet.
hare,
Hare,
of Hari, the Lord, bhajan, in the course of devotional service,
in the course of devotional service.
apakyaha,
Apakyaha,
immature,
immature,
atha, for the matter of,
for the matter of
patit,
patir,
falls down,
falls down.
tataha,
Tataha,
from the place,
from the place.
yadi,
Yadi,
if,
if,
yatra,
yatra,
whereupon,
whereupon,
ko,
qua,
what sort of,
what sort of,
va,
va,
or
or
used sarcastically,
used sarcastically.
abhadram,
Abhadram,
unfavorable,
unfavorable.
abhut,
Abhut,
shall happen,
shall happen.
amushya,
Amushya,
of him,
of him,
kim,
him,
nothing,
nothing.
kaha,
Kaha,
ko ba arthaha,
Kaha,
what interest,
what interest?
aptaha,
Abda,
obtain,
obtain,
abhajatam,
Abhadam,
of the non-devotee,
non-devotee.
swadharmataha,
Swadharmataha,
being engaged in occupational service.
being engaged in occupational service.
Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage. Yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. Please repeat after me. One who has forsaken his material occupations
One who has forsaken material occupations
to engage in the devotional service of the Lord
to engage in the devotional service of the Lord
may sometimes fall down
may sometimes fall down
while in an immature stage.
while in an immature stage.
Yet there is no danger
Yet there is no danger
of his being unsuccessful.
of his being unsuccessful.
On the other hand,
On the other hand,
A non-devotee,
A non-devotee,
though fully engaged in occupational duties,
though fully
does not gain anything.
does not gain anything.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As far as the duties of mankind are concerned, there are innumerable duties. Every man is duty bound not only to his parents, family members, society, country, humanity, other living entities, the demigods, etc., but also to the great philosophers, poets, scientists, etc. It is enjoined in the scriptures that one can relinquish all such duties and surrender unto the service of the Lord. So, if one does so and becomes successful in his discharge of his devotional service unto the Lord, it is well and good. But it so happens sometimes that one sometimes that one surrenders himself unto the service of the Lord by some temporary sentiment, and in the long run, due to so many other reasons, he falls down from the path of service by undesirable association. There are so many instances of this in the histories. Bharat Maharaj was obliged to take his birth as a stag due to his intimate attachment to a stag. He thought of this stag when he died. As such, in the next birth, he became a stag, although he did not forget the incident of his previous birth. Similarly, Chitraketu also fell down due to his offense at the feet of Shiva. But in spite of all these, the stress is given here to surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord, even if there is a chance of falling down. Because even though one falls down from the prescribed duties of devotional service, he'll never forget the lotus feet of the Lord. Once engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, one will continue the service in all circumstances. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that even a small quantity of devotional service can save one from the most dangerous position. There are many instances of such examples in history. Ajamil is one of them. Ajamil in his early life was a devotee, but in his youth he fell down. Still, he was saved by the Lord at the end. Tvakta sadharmam charanam bhujam hare bhajan napokho tho patit tatu yadi jatra ka ba bhadram abhut amushakim ko bharto apto abhijatam sadharmam. One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage. Yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. So, I was just going back. This is Narad Muni's instruction to Srila Vasudev about Srimad Bhagavatam. Vasudev compiled the entire Vedas, dividing it in different sections to simplify the wisdom of the Vedas, teachings of the Vedas. He did an elaborate presentation and extensive analysis. Like he first divided the Vedas into 4 branches, and then he gave different branches of philosophy in the form of Upanishads, and then Puranas, and he gave for a simplified version of the Vedic wisdom in the form of Mahabharata history. And then he gave the essence of the entire Vedas in the form of Vedanta Sutra. It seemed that the entire presentation has been complete. First elaborated and then presented the essence in the form of Vedanta Sutra. But still he felt that the job hasn't been properly accomplished. The job hasn't been completed properly. So when he was feeling such despondency, discontentment, Narada Muni came to him. And Narada Muni is instructing him. And what he is doing, Narada Muni, through this presentation, we are seeing that he is establishing the importance of devotional service. We can see that as they presented the Vedas elaborately and in a simplified way, but importance of devotional service was not properly established. And that's why he felt that discontentment in his heart, that the job hasn't been completely done perfectly. So that's why then Narada Muni came, and Narada Muni is instructing. And what's Narada Muni is doing? He's establishing the supremacy of devotional service, the importance of devotional service. All the Vedic purpose, the entire Vedic purpose is to motivate one to become engaged in devotional service. And he's pointing out, if that is not done, the mission is useless. All the endeavors is a waste of time. And this particular verse is pointing out also the importance of devotional service. There are two considerations. One is execution of duties, swadharma. Swadharma. Like dharma means performance of duty. So there are various responsibilities, various duties, as Prabhupada is pointing out. That not only one has his responsibility towards his parents, his family, his children, his relatives, his society, and so forth. But one also has responsibilities or duties towards the philosophers, the poets, the scientists, and other such groups. How we are taking advantage of various things. Like, for example, we are using the microphone. How did we get the microphone? We got the microphone because of the endeavor of some scientists. So when we are using it, we are indebted to the scientists. And so forth. Or those who are manufacturing, the businessmen who are manufacturing these microphones or cameras or tables. We are indebted to him, although we pay the price to get rid of the indebtedness. When we pay the price, then we are not grateful to them. Anyway, so our point is that one has so many responsibilities or so many obligations to so many people in the society. Now, if one gives up all those obligations and becomes a devotee, it happens when one becomes a devotee, he relinquishes his responsibility towards his family members and other such, especially the family members. Often we find that the devotees left the family and the family keeps on persuading them, come back, come back. And so in a way, the devotees are relinquishing or forsaking that responsibility. But this verse is saying that there is no harm if one does that. Because the ultimate responsibility is the Krishna. And Prabhupada actually said that that example has been very wonderfully demonstrated by Sri Chaitanya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at that time was 24 years old. He was married and he had a widow mother. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left him. There was nobody in the family, no male member to take care of them. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left him. Why did he do that? Prabhupada is saying they did that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did that to show that if you leave your family, wife and old mother, Krishna will take care. Krishna will take care. Of course, that doesn't mean that I'm trying to insinuate that everybody leave your wife and children and become a full-time devotee. Well, oftentimes it's not possible. The examples that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established, that may not be possible for everyone else. But this is the example that he is setting. Don't worry. If you do, then don't worry. Krishna will take care. Then the other consideration here is, what if he falls down? What if the person falls down? He takes to devotional service and then he falls down. Now, if he falls down, even then there is no loss. Bhajan apokkathu patittatu. In an immature apokka means immature stage. If even at an immature stage, if he falls down, means gives up the devotional service and goes away, there is no loss. On the other hand, if a person is executing his duties very nicely, but is not a devotee, is wasted. Whatever he is doing is wasted. Why? Because devotional service is executed on the spiritual plane. Devotional service is executed on the level of spirit soul. Whereas all the other activities are performed on the platform of material. So see the difference. Material things will end with the loss of the body. For example, no matter how much money you have, will you be able to carry any of it with you when you leave your body? As long as you have bought your body, you can take advantage of the bank balance. As long as you have the body, you can take advantage of the education that you have. As long as you have the body, you can take advantage of the position that you have. But as soon as you leave your body, everything is zero. Everything is lost. On the other hand, if one renders devotional service is not executed on the material platform. Devotional service is executed on the spiritual platform. Therefore, the benefits of devotional service, the credits for devotional service remains with the soul. Even if one executes a tiny bit of devotional service, that credit will remain with him throughout, because it's on the spiritual plane. And when he begins his spiritual life, he will get benefit. That means if one made advancement up to here, and in his next life, when he begins, he executes he makes advancement up to here, then he leaves his body. Then, when he begins in his next life, he'll begin from this point. You will see that very quickly he'll make spiritual advance. That means he will very quickly come to that platform where he left previously, and then he'll continue from that. But important thing to consider, this benefit he'll get only when he begins his devotional service, not otherwise. If one does not execute devotional service in his next life, he won't get the benefit. Although it will be there with him, but he won't get it. So that is the point Narayana is establishing. Even if you fall down, don't worry. Even if you give up, don't worry. Whatever you've done, the credit will always be there. And the other consideration he is making is that no more obligation to anyone. Devarshi bhutapta nrinam pitrinam, another verse is explaining that. There are obligations, devas to the demigods, rishis to the sages, bhuta, other living entities, apta, nrinam to the king, pitrinam to the forefathers. We have obligations to all of them. But when one takes to devotional service, no obligation to it. Because Krishna takes care. An example can be given in a simple way that, say, you have certain dates, and then you come and surrender to somebody. Then what will that other person do that you have surrendered? He will square up all those debts because you have taken shelter of him, you have committed yourself. In normal condition. Like he will square. It's okay. You have taken shelter of me, I'll square. Similarly, when one takes to Krishna consciousness, that means when one surrenders himself to Krishna, then Krishna says, okay, don't worry. All your debts, I will take care. And what does Krishna do? Krishna benefits them, rewards them. Not only squares up the debts on your behalf, but those you are indebted to, Krishna rewards them the most. They also get the spiritual benefit. That's why it is said that when one becomes a devotee, then 10 generations before and 10 generations after are dead. So that is the benefit of being engaged in devotional service. Therefore, an intelligent person will just take to this process. And another important thing is that when one takes to devotional service, not that all the time they have to give up everything. Some individuals may give up everything, but that's not necessary. Like we see so many such wonderful examples. Arjuna, did he give up everything and go to the forest? Or become a sannyasi? Arjuna is maintaining his family. Yudhishthira Maharaj is maintaining his kingdom. Janak Raj is maintaining his kingdom. Ambarish Maharaj, they're kings. And they have such big responsibility to rule the kingdom. They're executing those responsibilities, yet they're devoted to Krishna. Some will become sannyasis, some will give up, forsake the other responsibility. But not that everybody has to do that. Our line demonstrates that so. Bhakti Vinod Thakur Srila Prabhupada also. Although at some point they gave up family responsibility. Then at the old age, when the responsibility is taken up by others, then one can give one a household, can give up his household life and then the sannyas. So the point is, devotional service can be executed by anybody being in any situation. Sthane sthitva shruti gatam tanubang manoti. Sthane sthitva, being situated wherever you are, tanubang manoti, by your body, mind and words, you render devotional service. And what will be the benefit? The benefit, Krishna will ajita will become conquered. That's what happens. Krishna becomes conquered by his devotees. Krishna himself admits that he becomes a servant of his devotees. Not that the devotee wants Krishna to become a servant. Devotees always want to remain Krishna's servant, but Krishna fully loves. And he serves his devotees. He became the chariot driver of Arjuna. The chariot driver is a servant, like a chauffeur nowadays. We don't have chariots, but we have automobiles. So somebody who drives your car, he becomes your servant. So this is how we can see. Then the messenger also is a servant. He became the messenger of Yudhishthira to make a deal with Duryodhana before the battle of Kurukshetra. So in this way we can see that how wonderfully Krishna reciprocates with his devotees. Devotees don't say, Krishna, you do it for me. Krishna on his own does that. When Yudhishthira Maharaj was performing Rajasuya Yajna, what responsibility Krishna took? Washing the feet of all the guests. Okay. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is washing the feet of the guests. I mean, this is how Krishna reciprocates. Not that Yudhishthira Maharaj told him. Rather, Yudhishthira Maharaj's reaction was, no, Krishna, I can't tell you to do that. But Krishna insisted, no, I'll do that. And that's how he showed how much he loves his devotees. These are all the reciprocation, loving reciprocation. Just as a mother cleans the child when the child is dirty. I mean, in normal conditions, she probably would never ever go near that situation. But with her own hands, she is wiping the dirt of the child. Why is she doing that? Because of love. So this is how love works. Due to love, one feels obliged to do anything that is necessary. Or to express his love, he will go to any extent. So this is how wonderful devotional service is. And now when we have these two choices, perform our materialistic responsibilities very nicely but not become a devotee. On the other hand, become a devotee and perform your responsibilities in an imperfect way. Whose situation is better? Because one is executed on the material platform, the other is executed on the spiritual. One is executed for sense gratification, and the other is executed for Krishna's spiritual. So this is the difference between mundane activity and spiritual activity. Mundane activities are executed for sense gratification. No matter how generous, how benevolent it may appear to be. Whereas spiritual activities, no matter how how faulty and imperfect it may appear to be, it is executed on the spiritual. So now the choice is yours. Will you act on the mundane platform or will you act in the spiritual? Who will act on the mundane platform? No one. Who will act on the spiritual platform? Very good. So become a devotee, and that's what Narad Muni instructed. That's the benefits of devotional service. And the most wonderful thing about devotional service, although one may feel that, well, I'm not so expert, I won't be able to execute my duties so nicely. But the point is, when one becomes a devotee, then he develops all divine qualities. Jashasti bhaktir bhagavata kinchana. Sarvai gunais-tatra samasatesu. Sarvai gunais-tatra samasatesu. All the divine qualities become manifested. Harava bhaktasya kuto bhavan guna manorathena sati bhavate. Whereas, what qualities can there be in a non-devotee? Because all his activities are performed on the platform of mind. Manorathana. Meaning, all our mundane activities are actually on the mental plan. Mundane manifestation is a projection of mind. And on the mental platform, they are doing so many things. Okay, thank you all very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Does anybody have any question?
The immature devotee to a Vaishnava aparad, and so that still be considered like not that bad as somebody is acting on the mundane platform, like he falls down
Yeah.
for the Vaishnava aparad.
Yeah, aparadha is not taken into consideration. Aparadha is not, you see, we are talking about devotional service. Now, is aparadha devotional service? Aparadha is anti-devotional service. Therefore, aparadha destroys one's devotional. So one should be very, very careful. Good question. Yes.
Guru Maharaj, why do we say Godhead? Why can't we simply say Supreme Personality, Lord Sri Krishna? Why do we have to use that word Godhead?
Because in English, God means everything. Demigod, semi-God, fake God, anti-God. Everybody is God, isn't it? Whereas in Sanskrit, there are two specific definitions or indications. Devtas and Bhagavan. Right? And in the Deva categories also, there are so many things. Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Suras, and so on. So in order to just now, okay, let's consider this point. What is the general understanding of Hinduism? Is it monotheistic religion or polytheistic?
Polymorphic monotheism.
Then you are making it even more complicated. General understanding is Hinduism, go look at the dictionary. Hinduism is considered as a polytheism, believing many, many gods. But is Hinduism in reality a many, many gods? So what is the confusion? Devis, there are 33 million, no, not 33, 330 million demigods. Tetrish Koti. But Krishna's two Bhagavan Swayam. One God. Right? Bhagavan is one, Devtas are many. Right? So in order to make the proper distinction, Prabhupada used the expression. Devtas are demigods. Right? And Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Okay, he is the supreme person, right? He's a person, and he is the supreme person. And he is the head of all the gods. If you consider that there are many gods, he is the head of all the gods. That is why supreme personality. Okay? No possibility of misunderstanding now. Right? Prabhupada just hammered it, in a perfect way. Any other question from this side?
I have a question. It's a question or it's a suspicion in your mind. You said you can leave your family and do the service of God, of the devotion. But sometimes even the God has given that responsibility to you to take care, being a mother, take care of your child. And
Are you in the class from the beginning?
No.
Oh, then you missed the other part.
No, I was there from the beginning.
Okay.
But that,
So
this
the thing
question
is
keeps coming
that-
into mind every time I
Yeah.
listen.
Some will do, some will not. So I mentioned that those who are married and in the family life, they don't have to leave their
No,
family.
sometimes that feeling comes, I should leave my family and go. But that some bondage is there that says, no, you can't go now.
Anyway, if your husband wants to leave, you can come and complain to us. And the point is, like some will leave, some will not. For example, why did I leave home? Because if I stayed at home, then I could not properly perform devotional service. So these are the individual cases, right? And then Prabhupada said, offer this life to Krishna. Wonderful. So I offer this life to Krishna. So the case of it will vary from case to case.
When to take that decision? That's the thing. When and how we should take
Anyway, this decision should not be made after a quarrel. Alright? Anyway, Hare Krishna, thank you very much, and take care of our guests nicely.